Okay, I'll call the meeting to order at 6:35. And we'll start with the pledge and we'll have a moment of I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. First item on the agenda is to see if there's any amendments that need to be made to the agenda. Nothing. Okay. All right. Let's move on. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the 29th of January?
I'll make the motion.
I will second the motion.
Okay. Any discussion about those minutes? Okay. Let's vote. Ryan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Is Emma still on? Emma?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Aye.
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 Okay. All right. Public comments for items not on the agenda? Nothing? Okay. Let's start with new business. We have an action item. It is to consider the approval of utility shut-off policy that I think was sent to all of us to review.
So this is related to doing water shutoffs for delinquent utility bills. The legislature changed some of the requirements at the last session. So this just kind of updates that on the type of notice and how long you have and all of that kind of stuff. But it reflects the processes that we've done. This is just codifies it all. I can give more detail of what the policy is if you like.
Well, this on Emma.
Hey, y'all. So if I'm reading that correctly, it's about 75 days after you get the initial bill. Is that correct?
You get the bill 30 days later, it's due. When it is not paid on time, it goes delinquent. Then you get a delinquency notice. So yeah, in about that 75-day range.
Yeah, and people, I mean, and it's also written in there that if people reach out to y'all and they start a payment plan, like they can avoid shut off, right?
Yeah, correct. That's something we've always done, both with the tax sale process and with this, we're required to offer everyone a plan. So everybody gets the same plan that basically says, you tell me how much you can pay towards your delinquency each month. So we don't demand, it's got to be enough so that they don't get further behind, you know, it doesn't even cover the interest. So you tell us every month what you can pay, and you have to pay all future quarterly bills on time. So the idea is you won't be delinquent on future bills, and you can set the time frame on how long you have to make it up, because it's pretty well documented. You get too far behind and you get into a hole you can't get out of.
No, that makes sense. And you've mentioned that too, about property taxes and going delinquent. So that's something I noticed about this. And I was like, I feel like this makes sense and is pretty fair for what I think people are able to do. So I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay, I guess we'll need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it. Okay. Ryan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Emma, okay.
Aye.
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 There'll be a policy, doesn't have a sticker on it, but for board member signatures.
Action item, consider approval of engagement letter with Mudgett, Janet, and Crow, Windsor, and municipal auditors for FY25. And we have a copy of that right in front of us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a hard copy of the audit placed in front of everybody as well. There's electronic copies online. So they have been our auditing firm since like 2006. So it's been a long time. Natalia and I have been talking about for a couple of years now, and Ron, about just going out in the market, see what's out there. Last year, there were enough stories of people getting non-responses, and big increases. So there's been no service problems, but it's kind of, for me, one of those things to check off that we should go out to bid. So in speaking with, their representatives who have been working with us, they suggested go out to bid, submit an RFP, but make it effective with the fiscal 26 year. So in the weeks ahead, we'll be issuing an RFP to go out and test the market to see what else is out there. But we would like to engage them, and they want to be engaged for the fiscal 25 audits. That's the one that ends on June 30th of this year.
Right. Questions? Yes.
How much do the audit cost?
All in somewhere around 20 grand.
Okay.
Price has always been fair.
Well, it's pretty expensive. They did a good job.
Okay, any other discussion or questions?
Tom, do you expect with the RFP, do you think that they're going to come back more expensive, or we had a similar issue with the sheriffs where McSorley and McCoy backed out, and the only person they wanted to do it was somebody from Maine, and it went from like $4,000 to $20,000. Or do you think that they're going to come in roughly the same price as they're coming in now?
We're not going to save money, I wouldn't think. They have been fair with us through all of this, the COVID and everything else. And I know they've had their own challenges with staffing. So, I really like, obviously we don't have to take any bid, but it's possible that, we could see an increase more than what we've seen on average over the last few years. But the flip side is, I think it would be healthy to have an opportunity to have other people give us an opinion on what it takes. So I would suggest that we go through with an RFP, even if it might mean testing the market means that we're paying the market.
So we need to take a vote. If we're done with discussion. Do I hear,
Did we make a motion?
no, we have not.
Okay,
I need a motion.
Motion.
I'll second that.
Okay. Ryan, how do you vote?
Aye.
I
Emma? Okay.
Aye.
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 Okay. All right, old business liaison reports.
don't have one for Jedi this week.
And our meeting is tomorrow.
Okay,
We haven't had that since the last meeting, so I don't have a liaison report.
all right.
Well, I'm not a liaison, but I'll just throw something out to the board. I was contacted by the planning commission chair regarding, their desire to apply for a planning grant. So, I plan on attending their meeting tomorrow night and just kind of listening through that. They do have, the new member will be attending. My guidance is, well, when you do grants and studies don't build houses, they don't do anything. We had the planning commission in here at the last meeting talking about where our town plans out of compliance with the new legislation, and that stuff needs to be worked on. But I think it's important that the select board remember that the select board is the vision of the community. The planning commission, all the other commissions report to you. That's why you appoint the members. And I think there's a lot of new good energy on the planning commission, but it's not about writing getting the grants and getting the report. It's about having the energy and horsepower to actually follow through on whatever there may be. So I want to get a sense of that from the group tomorrow. And I know I will be doing two things: pushing to put the work in, either that or just skip the whole process and just update the rules. We don't need a grant to do that. The other thing is to really dig into what's the issue. Like if there's an issue saying we're not building enough houses, don't just think, well, we're going to get a grant and answer that. You know, you really have to understand the dynamic between state legislation and local legislation, what we have, you know, all of those kind of things so that you can really target your efforts once the grant comes in. So the liaison may be a very active role in the year and a half ahead, where in the past, you know, we haven't even had one up until Paris economics.
All right, well, thanks for that update. Any other update? Yes. No.
Nope, sorry, that wasn't a hand.
Oh, it wasn't here. Okay. Legislative discussions?
Quite, actually.
Yes.
Okay, so let's start off with Representative Burrows. The last meeting, we, kind of pick and chose a couple of bills to follow and to discuss. Well, I reached back to Elizabeth about H38, and that was on the Human Rights Commission. And two reasons it sparked is, number one, it's close to $1 million. And number two, I really didn't know what the Human Rights Commission was, right? So I just reached out with funding source, potential funding source. And can you explain to me a little bit more why we're looking to add more positions to the human rights course? And I said, to be honest with you, what I see of the Human Rights Commission look like there's three other agencies that covers what they do. So in other words, this one overlapping, to do well. Representative Burrows gave me a reply to that, which was robust, incredible, detailed, amazing. To be honest with you, they are seeking, said we are seeking a form of funding, but the Human Rights Commission is a commission that is a direct assistance to the Vermont Direct. It's not a phone service. People go out, they discuss. It's helping people with they're affiliated with HUD. So I'm not going to get into that one too deep, but what I'm going to say is the Human Rights Commission is actually a really good department that if you do have if you need assistance with rent issues or disputes with businesses on certain laws that are in place. So I have to thank Elizabeth for digging in and pursuing that. And the response was remarkable, to be honest with you. Remarkable. So that right there was H38 discussed last. Okay. And then so I kind of snuck around and I looked at this other bill. It was called H50, with reading, and Bill H50 is talking about real properties in Vermont. And I'm not really sure what they meant, but real properties was when state owns property. They're looking to mandate the state to start utilizing property for housing because of the housing crisis. So basically real simple. Representative Casey McCann, I looked at the reps and I saw one was on the Department of Corrections committee. And I said, oh, this is good, right? This is good. So in a nutshell, I'm not going to go through everything, but I'm just going to let you know what I sent to Representative Casey and Representative McCann. I'm a member of the Windsor Select Board who was monitoring bills going through the House. My question is, will the bill H50 have any effect on the prison property in our town? Does the prison property fall under real property? Well, Connor said the intent is all property will, and he's saying that the prison property will fall under. And it has miles to go, but let's, do what we're going to do. It has miles to go, but it was a good response, a response I wanted to hear. And thank you. I replied, I would love to stay in touch with you as everything unfolds as everything unfolds. I said one part of the RFP that Emily Bell put together. Remember that RFP, that 3-page that excited everyone to now break it up instead of trying to do the whole thing. I said one part of the RFP that Emily Bell put together was that the town was receptive in the section of housing. I use receptive intentionally because I'm not going to speak for the town and say, yeah, the town said, let's go. Because it was a good receptive, but we still have to discuss this as members of Windsor. So that's what I threw out there, and he came back and said, we're getting together next week. It'd be nice to get something from the select board to bring to the committee, saying that we are excited about something potentially happening there. With those small discussions here and there, let's let them get to committee, and then we'll see how watch this unfold. And then if it's time for us to, take a little bit more action, I say then we take action and try to keep it alive. So that was the purpose of 850. I like that. And then I just got one more from our Representative Burrows, just about a basic, what's going on right now. And basically, she's, right now they're working on some other certain housing things. Her committee's working on it right now. The bill that I discussed with you folks, H 38, it hasn't done anything yet, so that's still being discussed. But, she did bring, there's a lot, but I'm gonna say, one thing. That what she said was one more thing before I hang up, because this was 9 o'clock at night, we're going back and forth. Was, I do remember, do you remember the fill-in project I described to the Windsor Select Board last year? I was able to get a copy of the book for the Windsor Select Board, and I learned that the group responsible is now working on a book ready for ready-made plans that they plan to get out by the end of the year. I will bring the book with me next time I come to talk with you all. Speaking of, could you please ask Jeffrey, it would be appropriate for me to attend the next meeting? So it's a book on now, it's on the little homes you want to build
Yeah,
home. Now
remember
they're
that.
really pushing this, so Representative would like to know if you would invite her. There was a lot more, I'm gonna tell you that the beginning of the sessions, Elizabeth had the pneumonia. And she wasn't feeling well, but she dug in hard, and now she said, I'm feeling good and I'm running at 100% and I'm hitting on all cylinders. And what she's focusing on, I'm telling you right now, is we may have gone back and forth a little bit about some things, but I'm telling you right now, as I read with Elizabeth, as we communicate, she's thinking about the Vermonters, the human element and the people, and that's what we need from our representatives. So I'm really excited about that. I know there was a lot, folks, and there's a lot of moving parts. One more thing I was thinking, and then I'm gonna let this one go, is Bill H 50, the way the committees meet, and the committees meet, now I'm on to the committee, seeing when they meet. Might be a good idea at some point in time, I'm just throwing this out there, food for thought, is maybe potentially, if we see this thing started growing, have a prison property committee. So then if you have a committee of folks who are interested in it, whenever they have a meeting, show up, you zoom in or something. How you doing from Windsor? Trying to keep it alive, keep it alive, keep it alive, and keep that door open for us. So it's not like, what's going on with the prison property? Oh, it's waiting to hear. No, let's get in the game. Let's get in the game. We want Windsor to be thought about so something can potentially happen with the prison property. So I think if we do stay in the game with these folks, stay in communication, it might, you never know, it might move the needle a little bit. Um,
Thank you.
Sorry for being so lengthy about it, but that's all I got.
Well, thank you. That's a lot. Yeah, that's a whole lot.
Yeah, you're welcome. Questions about anything that I?
Handout, Emma?
Yeah, Paul,
Yeah,
number one, I think Elizabeth is really, she is so vocal and she is so helpful when you ask her any questions. So I'm really happy she was able to do that for you too. I think for the prison property, what I remember when we had talked about it, or what I have learned about it, is that I think there was a concern about getting utilities there, if it was going to be a housing idea. Is that like they were worried about getting utilities there? They were worried about,
They're all there.
we have the water infrastructure already and everything's all there. It's ready to go.
Water, sewer, lots of electricity.
Yeah,
including the roads though, the roads to get there, they would not need to be like,
County road.
yeah.
I mean, no, from the municipal side, if they built whatever that Emily's plan was, let's just say they did that. Certainly we'd have to run, feeder water and sewer pipes to the connections that would be built rather than what's there, and
Right.
roads to do it. But, given the value of the potential development, it would be inconsequential, and more than likely, usually private developers pay the cost of that.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I've always had a dream that that would be like an indoor play place for kids in the winter, because I really think there's a market for that here in Windsor. But I was just curious about that, because that's what, when I've had discussions about the prison property, it's that it would be like the roads and getting things connected there in terms of housing and what it would be needed.
I think go ahead, sorry.
No, that's it.
I think that Mike Quinn brought up some concerns about the water. I think that's the utilities that I remember.
Yeah, the water
They questioned the
tower, yeah.
tower, yeah, the tank, whatever it's called.
But, yeah, thank you, Emily, for that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna expand on just a little bit more so they knew that us as a body were interested in, we're monitoring what was going on. It's gonna expand just one little bit more. So I said that the town was receptive with the section to build the new houses. That would be a great start to start utilizing the land and helping out the housing crisis. Following could potentially be phase two with the dormitories that are still usable structures, get those up and moving. And then hopefully do something, hopefully this is something your committee would possibly entertain. Phase three would be something you're talking about, would be like a community center with another usable structure. So the only reason I kind of went at that to show them that we know this could be a three-phase project. We don't have to eat the apple all at once. And we're gonna go with the housing, the dormitories, so they're still usable. And then we can move into a community center-ish style that they were discussing, keeping the water tower, leveling some things and keeping it as a beautiful green belt also. So, let's see what happens.
That's really
Right.
positive.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
That's
Thank
all.
you.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Any other
Ryan.
comments?
I think Ryan also had it. Maybe I'm wrong. Did he have his
Ryan?
hand up too?
Is your hand up, Ryan? No,
Okay,
okay.
it was me.
Anyone else have anything they want to add or talk about in this topic? Okay, looks like we're to the town manager's report.
Okay, I put technology and cybersecurity on there to kind of introduce the topic. There was a few things going on, and I'll have more details as we move forward. There's been a number of stories lately about area municipalities getting dinged for real money through fraud behavior and things like that. And a couple of months ago, we had the head of cybersecurity for Mascoma come in and meet with our financial team just to give them best practices for it to start. And I'm meeting with our IT people on Friday. That's one of the topics we're going to go over. This isn't being driven by an issue that we've seen here. It's being driven by it's out there and we should be prepared. A lot of it sounds to be, I'm not going to say common sense because the trickery that's out there to trick people into believing that they're dealing with the right thing. You can have all of the gates up that you want, but if they still get to a person and trick them, we're in trouble. There was an interesting conversation. I host a monthly area town managers meeting, and last month this topic came up, and two towns had been approached by the best cybersecurity team in the country. Both of them said it independently, and one town was maybe 3,500, the other one was 8,000 or 9,000, and the price per year was somewhere around $140,000. So, and they were like drinking the Kool-Aid, and maybe they should. Another manager showed up at the end of that conversation, and he said, "You're talking about them? We've had them for a couple of years. Stay away. It's snake oil. All they, we got beat, and all they do is nickel and dime us for other things." So I'm not saying one side was wrong and one side's the other, but I think when you go after stuff like that, because you've just been hit, emotion more than logic may come into those decisions. So I'd really like to spend time gathering information and just make sure our staff is, on their toes, what's going on out in the market. Related, a while ago, one of these same meetings, Sean Mulholland from Lebanon was at the meeting, and he was talking about how they've really gone, full on implementing AI technologies throughout their town hall and website. And I sat in on a training session that their staff was putting on in Lebanon, as did the town manager in Claremont. And I didn't know anything. And now I know almost nothing, but it was enough that there's something to it. And we had a follow-up discussion 2 weeks ago, just about how much Lebanon is implemented over that time. And he said, really, the smaller the town you are, the more you need to look into it. You know, one example was their ambulance crews. You have to write a report on every run. They can talk into a device on the run back that will populate their report. And basically it's done by the time they get back to the station and get those things done. So a lot of the paperwork taking minutes. It's not like using the transcription on this that it's improving by leaps and bounds. So be aware. Just kind of as a side note, I had to write a letter yesterday for a new B&B that's looking to come to town. And we had to write a letter confirming that we had water and sewer allocation to meet their need. The state needs that. They need an engineer to say it's true. Then they need the town to say we agree with the engineer. So I went to Copilot, which is Microsoft's AI thing, and said I need a letter of confirmation of availability for water and sewer utilities in a municipality. And it wrote a letter that I had to change like 3 words, did a cut and paste, put it on town letterhead, sent it to the engineers. They said, wow, that's great. It didn't take me 2 minutes to write that letter. It sounded good to me. I hope it was right. But
Just use AI.
huh?
Just use AI.
Use AI.
He'll write something that writes it.
What was that, Ryan?
Are you saying we should be able to replace you with AI?
You may have already. You need the hologram thing too?
It'll save us a few bucks.
Yeah, no, I'd be sitting on the beach in Cape May if they didn't get 8 inches of snow yesterday. That's a joke. They did get 8 inches of snow. But along those lines, we have Marco Vasquez who does our social media posting, and he handles some IT for some of his other clients down in the Metro New York area. And I connected him with the technology specialists in Lebanon, and they're having a conference call tomorrow just to hear more about it. Marco's already pretty familiar with the technology. The other thing that he's looking at is a website platform called Civic Plus. It's one of the bigger, more standard municipal website platforms. We've talked for a long time about ours being kind of clunky, and it really hasn't been well, that one's better. There have been, well, that one's different, but nothing noticeably better. Implementing the AI in with the searchability of the website in the little chat, hi, I'm Ashley. How can I help you today? Kind of box. So Lebanon uses Civic Plus. So I thought if we're going to go in the direction, if that's even a possibility, find out what may be an industry standard in the area and kind of move it along. One of the things I thought was helpful is Lebanon offered, I think it costs $30 a month for a seat on one of their packages that they use for AI. And he said, we can have as many as we want. So if you guys want one, any of the towns, just, it's $30 a month and you can hop on ours and play around with it and get used to it, that kind of thing. So anyway, I'll be reporting more on that. And it all sounds great till someone says, and it costs this much. But we'll see. So speaking of, and it costs this much. The next thing is our update on our HVAC system. So maybe a month and a half ago, the board voted to replace the air handling system in the rec center. And we have been pursuing a 2% loan through the state. First, it didn't look good. Now it's looking better. I think we're going to be able to get that, but the approval was for $300,000 through that program. Back in the fall, we had our HVAC contractor and the state do an energy efficiency thing in the building. And as has been mentioned, the building's 20 years old and all the equipment in it is 20 years old. And we've replaced a couple of units, and this is out of my league. I know what they do, but I'm not an expert on this by any means. But I've included in your package, just for reference, an email from Chief McAllister saying that the heating system in the equipment bay, the ambulance bays, has failed. And that was something that was reported by the HVAC people. It's got radiant floor heat, but it's only maintaining 55 degrees or so on the colder days, which is causing problems for the drugs and other equipment. He has rental heaters in there now. That's $100,000. I got an email, from, the HVAC people who have been out to our highway garage twice in the past couple of weeks. That boiler we've been working on for a long time, and it's old, and fortunately, it's more like the size of your house heater than the other one. Anyway, that one, he said it's got to be replaced, and there's no backup system. That's about $8,000. So absorbing the $8,000 is something we can do. The $100,000 it's really not going to be an option. But as we're going through the application process for this loan, as I get more information on that, I expect I'll be coming back to the board and saying we have to heat the firehouse. So, and I think in a way that type of conversation is going to be one that is going to be front and center on the board on a lot of topics. We know we've been through some pretty difficult budget processes, and we've talked through that whole process about most, if not all of the pressure has been from outside, not municipal influence. And the roads don't get better. The building doesn't get newer. So, what do? There's no magical way around it. We get a lot of grants already, and it gets absorbed into the thing. I know we're about a year and a half ago, I started a process where we went out with the regional planning agency, highway and utility departments, and we got an inventory of all of our streets, culverts, had an engineering firm prioritize a list of what we need for water and sewer in our distribution system, not in the plant. And we took all of that information and said, well, where do we need to be priorities? Central Street was the first priority because the street was terrible. The apartment buildings coming in. We have stormwater that backs up on the street down there, and utilities are old. So we're paying $150,000 right now just to do the stormwater assessment, utility assessment, and design a new street. I can't believe that that's not going to be close to $1 million. And we have, I'd say, every neighborhood in town, wherever you happen to live, we have gone through and looked at the condition of the street. Not to go into a whole diatribe about what this works is, but like when we did Elm and Cherry Street, the pavement needed to be completely redone. The water and sewer lines were very old. New regulations say they have to be separated by at least 10 feet. They can't be in the same trench. The same trench is how they used to do it. So we had to replace the water lines, the sewer lines, connections to the house, sidewalk. I mean, it's beautiful up there now, but that was over $2 million. So all of the other neighborhoods, we have that same kind of information. Not that all of those neighborhoods are in that same kind of condition, but I compare that to, in the last couple of years, we just did an overlay on Lowell and Clough. We did an overlay on Meadow Lane, and it made the paving better. But there's only so much you can do with the drainage if you're not completely, tearing everything up and changing the elevations and all of that kind of stuff. So there's a number of problematic areas with water puddles and things like that. And it's, I would say, not the best path forward, but I think some longer term strategic planning on where the community wants to be is going to be. We spent maybe 14 or 15 million dollars. That's almost $1 million a year anyway, since I've been here. A lot of that got eaten up by the dam. A lot of that, as bad as it was going through Irene and the storm in 2013, but we got several $1 million. It did a lot of infrastructure repair. Back then the big battle was whether or not we're going to rebuild Brook Road or not. We didn't, but we got money to do other things. So you can spend a lot of money, but it doesn't slow down time. So I just throw that out there, and anybody who may be a new member on the board, will have some exciting, robust things to look at.
Okay.
We'll look at it as opportunity.
Find $100,000.
Yeah, it's,
We'll get there.
well, now, my point with all of that rambling on is we had an $800,000 report saying this is the condition of your building equipment. And it was correct.
Yep.
And it makes sense because the building is old. And we know we needed to replace the rec center. And within 2 months, two other the things that are on there have to be done. And that's the kind of thing that happens when a water main breaks. You can only go so far. And that's where I thought the first step of going out and getting an assessment of all of our infrastructure, the roads and all that, we at least know. And then even if we can't do it, to have, back in the day, they were shovel-ready projects. So you never know when the right grant opportunity comes along and you can say, oh, we have a project that matches that. Here's a completely designed solution. Let's put it out to bid and, apply for the grant. So we'll be spending some money on that.
Questions,
Comment?
comments?
So it's $100,000 for the temporary heaters.
No, it's $100,000 to replace the broken heater.
What are we doing right now for?
He's got some temporary heaters that, whatever, the salamanders.
Okay, so my question is, I'm just throwing it out there because I kind of do this stuff a little bit. Have you considered potentially, which would be a pretty good thing, would be, like a couple of these modines put in there, the LPs, one up, one in, heat in, that would be a good alternative in case something else happens. I'm guessing, just shooting from the hip, having two modines at 200,000 would be 400,000 BTUs should cover it. It's probably gonna cost to have these installed and piping in, and the tanks would be about 14 grand.
Okay.
So something to consider. That's all, that's it, because that's kind of what I do.
I don't,
And then
I don't know
they're
about
there, they're there in case we ever need them again and again and again, they're in place, ready to rock and roll. We get a beautiful system, everything's nice, we take the modines down and we move them to a shop, we move them to a barn or
Mhm.
put them on eBay. It's something just to consider, that's all.
yeah, and
Cause I had to do those. a few times.
not to go down that whole road. I know that there was something in there, like when the doors go up,
Yeah,
something turns on automatically.
it's called an air curtain. So when you open a door, the air will blow down and that stops cold air from coming in and that keeps the hot in and that's actually helps for a thermal, that helps the protection so you don't lose,
Mhm.
you don't bring cold in. It's just called an air curtain. You walk in and it's blasting you. A lot of places have them, or you have a vestibule, then you enter a building. That's an air curtain. I just threw it out there because this is what I do. That's it. That's my comment.
Thank you. Ready to move on then?
Mhm.
Do I have a motion to sign orders?
I'll make the motion.
A second. Let's vote. Ryan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Emma?
Aye.
Aye.
I,
Sign order.
Okay, this is a cover sheet. You only have to sign the cover sheet on the orders. And then this thing is the water and sewer shut-off policy. And this one with the little sticker there. That only requires Jeffrey's signature on the line that says governance.
So the rest of us are signing too.
Correct.
Okay, so, it's time for public comments for items not on the agenda. Okay. Board member comments while we sign orders. Brian, do you have any board member comment?
I don't really. Appreciate everybody coming out. Sounds like there's some bad weather coming in tomorrow.
Emma, how about you?
Yeah, I'm gonna echo Ryan. Thank you guys.
I don't have a whole lot either. It's a quiet night, but just stay safe. Everybody stay safe tonight and tomorrow. It's gonna be gross.
And the weekend. Okay, yeah, I have nothing either.
We'll put it out there. Harry Ledoux and the rec guys have been squirting down the common. So
Everybody is so excited about that. I can't even tell you.
let's get through these for the next couple of days and we
I'll
could be
bring up my
having a
skates.
skate party out.
I mean, it was like people were celebrating on social media when the first picture came out because people have been asking. And I was like, well, it all, it depends on the weather. And then like within 24 hours, there's pictures and they're like, oh, we're in here. And I was like, oh my God, this is great. But I know that there's a lot of kids who are very excited to go up to the common.
In the evening.
I know, how cool is that? It's like lit up because they still have that lights up
Yeah, it's
the
true.
whole common.
Planning or just coincidence?
I did.
I think it may have been a little bit of
A
both.
little bit of both. That's right.
I gotta probably give it to the Windsor Alumni Association.
No, I did them.
Yeah, it does look really
It does.
nice.
Any
So-
comment?
I don't know, how can I start this off? So folks, I found out some news of recent that my wife, has a terminal illness. And I was in distress last week and I emailed Jeffrey and Tom and said that I'm gonna have to be resigning from the select board. My wife's a caretaker of 45 years to people, now it's my turn. It's scary, I don't know how to do it, but I know I'm gonna be able to do it. I talked to them tonight and I said, I'm gonna go through tonight's select board and I'm gonna make my final decision on what I plan on doing. Because I'm on a ballot, ready to run for next year and everything else, but I'm not even gonna wait. Just gonna let the select board know that as of, I'm gonna have town meeting day, I guess we did town warning. When we all get together as a town.
Yeah.
That will be my last select board meeting. I want to complete my term. I believe it's important for the town to have at least 4 body members there. I know Ryan's out of town, so let's have a full table. The town deserves that. So I want to be up present because we've done a lot of work together. So I'm gonna finish my term. I'm gonna keep working on this stuff right here. When it's time to pass this over to whomever, I will pass it over, but as a regular person, I'll keep in touch. I want to let the select board know that Mr. Marsh is gonna be leaving. And when I heard about this, I'll be honest with you, I've thought about it a lot. My brain's been going in the direction. I already have a plan of action and all that stuff because I'm weird like that. So when I'm off the board, if anyone wants to talk to me a little bit about something, if there's any, anything that if anyone on the select board wants to pick my brain about something, as what I've been doing, or maybe potentially some stuff that I know, I'll always be available to the members of the body, right? But I think the wise decision is for me to do this, and I was gonna do it tomorrow, but this has been such a fun meeting. This is how I want to announce it, because you folks are the best. And, I will have to say my hat's off to, Mr. Marsh. I got to know Tom a lot. And he's a hardworking man, but not only that, you don't even know what he does behind the scenes too. It's really remarkable what he has done for the town, what he does for the town. And, we're very fortunate and blessed to have Tom as our town manager and passing the torch. Wonderful husband, dad, granddad, everything. It's been a pleasure to get to know you, Tom, because you've actually become a friend of mine. So, and what you do for the town's remarkable. It is, that's pretty much all we really have, select board,
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for all you do.
no, yeah, it was an honor of a life to be on a select board. Like I've never anticipated something like that ever happening. So when I say it was an honor of my life, it really is. Really is, like huge.
And you can call on us.
Oh, yeah. And I never really planned on being a career select person anyways. I think I'm just gonna go back to Paul Woodland mowing my lawn and taking care of the love of my life. Because that's what my job is now. Thank you, folks.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, you got it, buddy.
Okay. So no further comments. I will adjourn this meeting at 7:20.